I'm Bianca Pitts at Creative Marketing Mom. I am your sales and messaging coach and specialist. Now, today I'm going to show you a really easy, quick way to make a new Facebook group. These are great for communities and a central location for you and your people to connect, provide them extra nurture content, and bring everyone bigger results faster. So I'm right here just at the Facebook home. You're going to go to the left-hand panel and select groups. Then you're going to go to the left panel again and you'll see create new group. So now we're going to type in a name. I am just going to call this demo marketing group. And you can change the group name later. They do have occasional different kinds of timelines, so just be aware of those. It should say it when you go to edit the name. So you have two options for privacy. You can choose to have it public where everyone can see and everyone can join. Now, there are parameters where you're able to restrict certain people. You can edit, like if they have a brand new Facebook page, you can say, if anyone's, new, if anyone's page is less than 30 days old, or, you can do things like that help limit spam and bots and things. So that's really helpful inside some settings. But you can also make it private. So like with my mastermind, I've got a sales breakthrough mastermind and it's a private community. So you can select private. And this next part you can actually do for public as well, which is where you can make it where only members can see it. So it's essentially invite only. Now, if you're trying to grow just a free community, obviously you would want to do public where everyone can see it so that you can get all of your people in. But if you're doing some kind of paid community or a special event that you only want people who have registered for, something like a launch, like I do launches probably every couple of weeks for now. And so eventually I'll probably tone it down to like quarterly, but I love creating like new workshops and content. And so it ends up naturally being a launch. But every time I do that, I create a little pop-up group. And that's going to be a private group. That way, everyone who signs up and registers through, my opt-in form specifically for this event, that's where they're going to get the emails that have like, the information, the link for the actual private group. And then I can actually do the workshop inside the group, which is really cool. So it makes a really neat community feeling. It's a much better connection. So those are some reasons why you might want to do a private community, or you could do public. So for this one, we're just going to do public, and then we're going to remove my face and we're going to click create. Okay, so now it's created our page. You're going to see an entire list over here of super helpful tools and options. This dashboard looks very familiar, doesn't it? This is the dashboard just like your personal profile. They have upgraded groups and pages, so they really are similar to your private profile. So you have a few options. It's going to guide you through some things to get it set up. It's going to say, hey, invite some people, add a cover photo, add a description, do your first post, a lot of other things. So we're not going to invite anybody for now, but I would suggest you should. Just for this purposes, we're not going to. I'm going to select upload a photo. I'm just going to pick one. We'll say this is a cover photo. And it will update that, and you can drag to reposition it. And then up in the top right, we'll click Save Changes. You can always edit it later by coming right here, and it will give you, bam, an edit button. So next thing is we're going to quickly explore some other key features of your page to get it set up and running. So we're going to select Add a Description. We're just going to put, this is an amazing community of women in high places and upcoming thought leaders. There we go. We're going to click save. You can edit that at any time. You will have an option to go in and change all of this kind of stuff. So we've done those. We're not going to invite anybody and we're not doing a post just yet. But just like your other normal Facebook pages, you can create a page directly in the dashboard here, just like you would anywhere else. And you can add all your things that you would like to add. You can actually click that button and add more. You can do polls, live videos, all of that kind of stuff. Now, and you can turn these on and off if you don't want anonymous posts. You'll see an event tab where you can actually put your own events, things like launches, trainings, courses, whatever you've got. You'll be able to have files and it will list your members. Over here on the left, we've got a nice panel of things. You can select overview and it's going to give you a basic rundown of high level analytics. So like things that members reported, like, hey, this is, offensive or whatever. Pending posts, something like, let's say you make it so you have to approve every post. That's a lot of work, but I could get why you want to do it. It'll tell you some things waiting for you to approve. Anyone who's a moderator, you can see if they've flagged some stuff for you to review. Group quality. This one you'll see elsewhere under the analytics, but it's just saying, do you have any strikes against you with Facebook? You can promote your group. That costs money. I'm not going to worry about that. Posts, comments, reactions. In my opinion, the best way to grow your group is simply by showing up in other groups, in different collaborations, doing freebie swaps, doing groups, doing summits, doing bundles, all that kind of stuff. That's really, in my opinion, the best way to grow your audience, as long as you are clear on three main things. There are three main things that I help with every day, all the time. Make sure that you know who you're talking to. Make sure that your offer, if you have one, which is, could be anything. That's why I call it an offer, whether it's coaching, courses, printables, whatever it is that you sell, that you offer to people. That is what an offer is. You need to make sure that it's perfectly aligned to who you're talking to. Then the messaging will flow naturally. And then you'll know what to say. It's a really great system I've created. And you can get that in the Sales Breakthrough Mastermind. Now, you have some pretty neat tools in here. Admin Assist is basically a little AI tool bot guy. It's fantastic. So you can say decline incoming posts if, remove them if, turn off. And so you can say, if there's a spam post and you have 4 different types of criteria, like they have certain keywords, they don't have a profile picture, right? Which is a pretty common, scam situation. Post has less than 10 characters, all kinds of different things. So like, for example, if you don't want people posting links in your main feed and kind of cluttering it with spam or, promos and stuff, you can actually make it to where it'll take it down. You don't even have to moderate it, which is really cool, especially if you're the only moderator on your group as it grows. This will take out a lot of that moderation work. So you can say, move it to review if, and then you can say all kinds of stuff. Delete a comment that's coming in if it's done some stuff. You can do automatic welcome posts, which is really cool. So like every time someone joins, you can choose to do a post that they see every time. You can choose how you use that. You can welcome them. You can kind of do a mini onboarding, various things you could do. Hey, get on my email list. If you want this, you can say, look, here are some additional rules. We expect, respect, value people's time. If you have a question, search the group to see if it's been answered before. All these basic, housekeeping stuff. Those are all options. You can publish a custom post, which is kind of like what we were talking about. So these are daily, weekly, or monthly posts. Let me tell you, this is one of my favorite features. Besides the moderator blocking stuff, this one is awesome. Let's say every Tuesday you want to do a Thrive Tuesday, right? And you want to post the same thing every week. You want to say, hey, what are you guys planning this week? What do we got going on? What are your goals this week, right? Maybe Monday motivation. every week you want to post what's your Monday motivation or something like that, it'll do that for you. Look how cool. It even gives you prompts. How neat is that? So like monthly rule reminders, heads up, here's your reminder too, right? Take some time for yourself or whatever. Time for Friday favorites, all kinds of stuff, right? The traditional throwback Thursdays, all kinds of goodies. So that's really great. It'll automatically do it for you. You don't even have to worry about it. Badge requests. So this is stuff like as people, they have like a gamification happening where you do a bunch of stuff and like you get badges. So like, conversation starter, high contributor. You guys have probably seen it in other posts. This one, post to review. So you can go to the settings and say, hey, I want this and this and this kind of post to be reviewed. Potential spam, it'll give you some spam reports if it's caught some. You can also go to the settings and you can also filter it. Then my favorite, scheduling your posts. It reminds you up here, you can do new member welcome posts and other things, but you can create one and publish it. I suggest this. I do batch posting all the time. It's literally how I keep up with all of my content that I run. It's genius. You just spend an hour and you just bam, 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 bam. You schedule out 7 for the week. And they don't have to be big. They can be whatever you want them to be. They can be a simple, hilarious question like, what's something ridiculous that you still remember from childhood that makes no sense, right? Like a jingle or whatever. And it's fun to do those kinds of engagement questions. And you can just post that and schedule it out. So that's really awesome. Obviously, if you have launches, events, trainings, freebies, whatever, prompts for them to come to this, that, or the other, you can schedule those out here. Activity log. This is handy sometimes. You want to kind of review what's been going on. Right here, it shows me what I did, but it'll show others. And then you can add notes, which are really neat. If there's something you've got going on, you can write it out, right? This is an important note, right? And that's cool, right? It's an inside note that you cannot see. So like, or others can't see. So like, let's say if you wanted to respond to that later, you could put respond to this later, reach out and remind them of the rules, whatever it is, you can go and change all of this kind of stuff. Over here, group rules. So you can set up rules that they see. You've seen them when if you've joined other groups. And I love that they have example rules, just the basic ones that most of us are going to want anyways. I love that it self-populates. You obviously can edit those as you go, but it will start listing them. So like, of course, the no hate speech, the bullying, respect everyone, no promos or spams. You can edit this. You can say there will be a weekly Sunday self promo thread. You can share, right? And so you can say, okay, there we go. And so you can keep creating them however you want. You can move them around and they will self change their number, which is really nice. If you want to say, are you a business owner? Yes or no. You can do all of that kind of stuff in here. Member reported content. So if someone's like, hey, this doesn't look right, it'll show up here and you can review it. Any moderators that trigger, hey, you need to look at this, that'll be here. Group quality. This is a quick at a glance to see if anything has been an issue with Facebook. So like it says, there's no issues, because it's like if they go against community standards, all of that. And so you can look at all of this stuff here. It's got grow group. This one's pretty simple. It's just like make sure that they suggest the group. So when someone's looking, it can say, hey, this one might be perfect for you kind of thing. You can look at moderators you've selected. Group settings. In here, this is where you can do all of your changes. You can change the name and description, demo marketing group, all of that. You can change if there's a new member intro, and you can create a message, right? Briefly welcome this. This is the first thing they'll see. So you can do the intro message and then they see the rules, or you can do the rules first. It's up to you. Then down here, we can do the web address, which is important, by the way. Hopefully yours isn't taken. We're going to put demo marketing community. And so this is where people will find you. But make sure the first time you edit it, okay, that you try to make it whatever it is that you were trying to get them to access. So like for me, it's Facebook/group/creative marketing mom, because obviously that's my business. But it's just whatever it is that your people will remember and be able to suggest to others and be able to remember themselves when they are looking for you. Then you're going to click save. But please, please keep this in mind. Once you have more than 5,000 people, you cannot change this. So make sure as you grow that it's what you want it to be. My favorite part, besides everything else, of course, is the changing of the color. And so when they join, it's all pink. You could change it to whatever color you want. Then this is badges. This is what we were talking about earlier, that people were requesting: new member, top contributor, expert, all this kind of stuff. Group affiliations. You can show that a specific person is an admin of the group, right? So I can choose to like, okay, it'll show me that I'm the one in charge of this. Participant approval. You can choose if they have to be approved first in order to participate, obviously. Post, comment, anything. Then you can choose if you want anonymous posting, require post approval, make sure that you decide about spam, approving editing. All this kind of stuff is really, really great. And then down here, this one is important. You can choose what they have available to them. So if you don't want them to be able to schedule, if you don't want them to be able to schedule events, turn it off. That's what's so nice. Display as an option. No. You don't want them creating events? Then don't let that be available. Display as a button? Obviously not. And it says it's turned off and no one can use it. Do you want to remove it? So you can choose to remove it and then pin to the feature section. So obviously if you do not want them to be there, right, then you can choose that. You don't want them to be able to create, then you can take it away. If you want to add it later, you can come down here and add new, and it will give you a billion things that you can add. You've got so much stuff. It's crazy. The guides are really cool. It's a great way to organize information to share with your people. I like to think of it kind of like folders, and you can organize things by by subject. So like if they have a regular question that you get all the time, that's a great way to organize it. So you can say, here's all the questions we get about, I don't know, let's pick something. If you're doing a dog training group, everything about potty training, and then you have a whole post group by it. If you're doing like podcast strategy, you might have everything about editing audio, everything about editing on iMovie, right? Everything about reaching out for guest hosting. You can categorize it and it just makes it so much easier. So when anybody is new, that could be part of your onboarding with your welcome message. Be like, look, every time if you have a question, search the group first, check the guides first, it may have already been answered, things like that. And that way, you can frame it so that it shows that it's for their benefit, not just because it's annoying or, whatnot. You can say, look, I want you to get the fastest results, get your questions answered so you can get on the road and start making those results, going and finishing whatever it is that you were asking about, and so you can frame it that way because it's true, right? And just say, look, I want you to be able to access this even if it's 2 a.m. So I definitely suggest you make sure you look at the guides, you look and search the group specifically for whatever it is you're asking about, so that even if everyone else is not on and paying attention to the group at that moment, you still might be able to find the answer to it, right? Rather than waiting for someone to reply to a post. So that's a really great thing to utilize. So you've got all kinds of other stuff. They even have like these sets, which is neat. So like learning guides, all kinds of stuff, which is neat. Then we have growth. So these are just your basic analytics. You can choose the timing. You can choose who you want to look at. If you're just wanting to look at people who visited versus members, you can look date to date. You can check out engagement, same thing. You can actually filter it, which is nice if you just want to look at reactions, comments. This is handy when you start to schedule things out after you've got some data over time. This will be really useful. Knowing what days people are the most active, knowing what times they're most active. So you can make sure you schedule your stuff around that to make sure as many people see it as possible and have an opportunity to be engaged. And kind of make sure your community is engaged and activated. That's a really great way to do it. Post approved, declined, removed. You can check all of that stuff out here. You can look at all participants and their demographics, which is helpful sometimes. You can see who are the most active. You can even do fun things, by the way. I love doing this in my group. When you end up having these top contributors who are like constantly going above and beyond, they're showing up, they're helping so many people, they're just contributing so much to your offer, which in this case is a supportive community and group. There's an awesome way to thank them. Surprise them. I don't know about you, but I've got a billion things on Canva and in Notion and all these different platforms of freebies that I've created over the years. Even if you just started, you probably have 5 or 6. Surprise them, right? You can send them messages through the group. And I would, if there's 5 people on there and they are just going out of their way to help people answer questions, do all that kind of stuff, I would surprise them. I love doing that. I message them. I'm like, here's a link. And I send them, something awesome that I think will help them, and I can always go and look if you're like, I don't know what to send them. I don't know what would be helpful. Like, first of all, it's the thought that counts, right? Like whatever you send them, they'll love. Secondly, you can always do this. I like to call it recon. You can go and click into their profile. Go look at their website. Go look at, if they've got like a Facebook page, an Instagram for their business or whatever it is you're doing. Like if you're doing gardening, right? If you're a B2C and you're doing just consumers, like regular people, you can go look. Are they, what kind of gardening are they into? Maybe you can throw together a guide for them, a seeding schedule, whatever it is that you think will help them. They will really understand that you care about them, right? It gives them that boost of confidence. It gives them that they really are paying attention. Yes, I'm paying attention, right? We're all looking at the analytics anyways. We might as well reward them for being awesome. So that's just one way I love to like go above and beyond and help people out. Especially because they're helping me out, right? Like without other people, there is no group. So if they're going to, take time out of their day and contribute, it makes, complete sense that I would go above and beyond too, and thank them. So I think it's great. I think it also really gives them a confident boost. It encourages them to, keep doing what they're doing. Because the other thing is, if you're a business like me, no matter what it is that you're helping them with, not only is it going to make them feel validated and important, which they are, even if they weren't top contributors, they are, right? Which is why every once in a while I'll also just give my entire group awesome free stuff that's normally paid, because I just want to reward them for being awesome, right? If they're engaged in your group specifically, they're also making more progress on whatever your industry niche is. That's really something to pay attention to. If they're in here all the time, it means that they're actively thinking about your industry. Let's take mine, for example. I talk about sales. I help you with sales, messaging, offer, clarity, stuff like that, right? If they're in here all the time, they're answering questions about funnels, about how to talk to your people, how to sell in stories without being sleazy. If they're in here answering questions and showing up, that means they are actively activating the part of their brain where they're storing all this knowledge about this topic. So they are much more likely to be making progress in their business because they are investing time talking about it. I don't know if that makes sense, but like if you think about it, right? If you're talking to people about this amazing recipe, you're more likely to cook. because you've been talking about it, right? All the time. You're like, oh my gosh, I better make those cookies, or if someone's been talking to you about cookies and you're like, I kind of want to go look up that recipe, it's just more likely that they're going to be making more progress in general because they're not watching TV, right? They're actively involving themselves in this subject. You can also see age and gender, which sometimes can be helpful, especially if you're trying to focus on a certain group of people. If you're like me and you're helping women and, it's like 95% male, I might need to look at the content I'm creating and figure out what I can do to make what I specialize in more clear. Top countries, top cities, also helpful information when you're trying to do a recon and trying to figure out what you're doing right and what you need to work on. Then right here, you can invite people. You can go over here and look at just your content. You can share your group here, of course. You can share it to the feed, share it to another group, send it in Twitter, all the things. I think they call it X now. I don't know how that's working, but I don't use Twitter, so it's neither here nor there. You can pin the group, which I suggest doing so that you never lose it when you're on your home page that isn't the group. It'll show up at the top, which is helpful if you have more than one group, which most of us are part of more than one group. And then you can sort the comment, pause the group if for some reason you need a breather. You're like, I don't know. You can pause the group. You can pause the group and you can leave the group. So here you're going to go back home. Here you've got other pages, which there aren't any. And then you got your analytics. This is just another location to find it. It's all the same stuff. You got a few extra things like Inspiration Hub, where you're going to find other people's stuff. You can say page access. This is where you change managers, people that can do things on your page, different stuff, data sharing, branded content. So like if you got a sponsorship with somebody, like I love sharing Thrivecart because it's amazing. And it's where I do all of my sales. Like everyone buys through the Thrivecart that I have, and it's got all of the lessons, and Learn is amazing and it's free included. And that's where I have all of my products and all of my courses, and it's amazing. And it's my favorite thing on the planet because you pay it once and it stays forever. When you press home, you're going to go back to your home page. You're not going to be in groups anymore. So just pay attention to that. If you want to see who's in it, you can click right here and it will show you the members. You can focus on the discussion, which is the main feed that everyone else sees. And then media, if there's any pictures or videos, you can create albums, all kinds of good stuff. You can add files. So like if you have, freebies that you want people to have access to, you can put it here, which is nice. Contracts, anything like that you would want them to have access to, especially if it's like a paid thing. You can put, your privacy policy and other things here if you wanted. So that's it. I hope you guys found that helpful. I will see you guys in the next training, and I can't wait to see what results you get from your community.